Have you ever listened to a real English conversation and thought, there is no way my brain can keep up with this?
Because people are speaking fast, interrupting each other, using slang, changing topics.
And somehow they still understand each other perfectly.
Meanwhile, you're still trying to understand the first sentence.
If that sounds familiar, today's episode from Talk Easy Daily is going to feel very real.
Because today, we are going to test your brain with real English conversation.
Not slow textbook English.
Not perfect classroom English.
Real English.
The kind of English people actually use with friends, coworkers, family, and strangers.
And here is the surprising part.
What?
Many English learners do not struggle because they lack vocabulary.
Really?
Really. They struggle because real English moves differently.
Faster.
More emotionally.
More casually.
And much more unpredictably.
Which is why you can know hundreds or even thousands of English words.
And still feel completely lost when two native speakers start talking naturally.
That is such a frustrating feeling.
It really is, because you start wondering, why can I understand English subtitles but not real conversations?
Or why can I understand my teacher but not native speakers?
Or even worse, why do I understand one sentence and then completely lose the next one?
That happens to so many people.
And if it happens to you, there is something very important you need to know.
What is it?
Your brain is not failing.
Then what is happening?
Your brain is simply not used to the patterns of real spoken English yet.
That is actually a huge difference.
It is, because if you think you are failing, you lose confidence.
But if you realize your brain is just learning a new rhythm, everything feels different.
Exactly. Real English has patterns.
Native speakers connect words.
They shorten words.
They use expressions you never learned in school.
They speak differently when they are excited, tired, nervous, or joking.
And sometimes they don't even finish their sentences.
Exactly. Someone might say, never mind.
Or, when you just, I don't know.
That kind of English is everywhere in real life.
Which means if you want to understand native speakers, you need more than vocabulary.
You need listening instincts.
That sounds powerful.
It is, because once your brain starts recognizing real English patterns, conversations become much easier.
Suddenly, what used to sound like noise starts sounding like language.
Exactly.
So in today's episode, we are going to challenge your brain.
We are going to talk about the hidden reasons real conversations feel difficult.
We are going to break down fast speech, slang, interruptions, hidden meanings, and connected words.
And we are going to help you train your brain to stay calm and keep listening, even when English feels difficult.
Because honestly, that's one of the biggest secrets.
What is?
Staying calm.
Absolutely. Because when you panic, your brain stops listening.
And when your brain stops listening, even easy English starts sounding impossible.
Exactly. So if you've ever felt nervous, embarrassed, or frustrated during a real English conversation,
this episode is for you.
And stay with us, because the first reason real English feels so difficult is probably not what you think.
One of the biggest reasons real English conversations feel difficult is because native speakers do not pronounce every word clearly.
That sounds a little unfair.
It does feel unfair at first, but native speakers are usually not trying to speak clearly for learners.
They are just speaking naturally.
Exactly. And natural English is very different from textbook English.
Because in textbooks, every word is separated and easy to hear.
Right. People say things like, "What are you doing?" very clearly.
But in real life, it sounds more like, "What you doing?"
Exactly.
And if your brain is waiting to hear, "What are you doing?" then "what you doing" sounds like a completely different sentence.
That is one of the biggest listening problems learners face.
Because the words are technically there.
But they are hidden inside fast speech.
Which is why people often say, "I know these words, but I still cannot understand the sentence."
Exactly. Let's look at some common examples.
This is really important because these patterns appear everywhere in real English.
Going to often becomes gonna.
I'm going to call her becomes I'm gonna call her.
Want to becomes wanna.
Do you want to eat becomes do you want to eat?
Have to becomes have to.
I have to leave becomes I have to leave.
Did you becomes didya.
Did you see that becomes did you see that?
What are you often becomes whatcha.
What are you talking about becomes what you're talking about.
And the more emotional or excited people are, the more they connect words.
Which makes conversations even harder to follow.
Exactly. Imagine someone speaking slowly and clearly.
I am going to call you later.
Pretty easy to understand.
Now imagine someone speaking quickly.
I'm gonna call you later.
That sounds very different.
It does. And here is the important thing.
What is it?
Fast English is not just slow English spoken faster.
That is such a good point.
Because when native speakers speak quickly, they actually change the sounds.
So learners are not just dealing with speed.
They are dealing with new pronunciation too.
That explains why real conversations can feel so overwhelming.
Exactly. And here's something else people do not realize.
What?
Native speakers often remove sounds completely.
Really?
Yes. For example, next day may sound more like next day.
Because the T sound disappears.
Right. Friendship might sound more like friendship.
So some sounds become softer or disappear entirely.
Exactly. Native speakers do this because it is faster and easier to say.
But for learners, it can feel impossible.
Especially at first.
I think this is one reason learners panic so quickly.
Definitely.
Because they think, I do not know these words.
When actually they do know the words.
They just do not recognize them in fast speech.
Exactly. That is why listening practice is so important.
Because your ears need time to adjust.
Right. You need to hear real English again and again until these connected sounds start feeling normal.
Kind of like listening to a song for the first time.
Great example.
The first time, the lyrics sound impossible.
Then, after hearing it a few times, suddenly you understand everything.
That feeling is amazing.
It really is.
And I think another problem is that people try too hard to hear every word.
Yes, that is a huge mistake.
Because if you miss one word, you panic.
Then, while you're panicking about that word, you miss the next 5 words too.
Exactly.
Instead of trying to hear every single word, focus on the general meaning.
That sounds much less stressful.
It is. Imagine someone says, I was going to head out, but then my friend texted me, so I stayed.
Even if I miss 1 or 2 words, I can still understand the story.
Exactly. The person planned to leave, but stayed because of a friend.
That's enough to continue the conversation.
Right. Real listening is about understanding enough.
Not understanding perfectly.
Exactly.
I think perfection is one of the biggest problems for English learners.
Definitely. Many people believe they must understand every word to be successful.
But even native speakers do not understand every word all the time.
That is true. In noisy places, on the phone, or during fast conversations, native speakers ask people to repeat things all the time.
They say things like, sorry, what was that?
Or, could you say that again?
Or, I missed that.
Exactly. And that is normal.
So if you ask someone to repeat themselves, you are not failing.
You are communicating.
That's such a better way to think about it.
It is. Let me tell you a quick story.
Go ahead.
A learner once told me she went to a coffee shop in New York.
That already sounds stressful.
The worker asked her a question, but she could not understand anything.
That happens to so many people.
She asked him to repeat it twice.
Then what?
She still did not understand, so she just smiled and said yes.
That is always dangerous.
Very dangerous.
What did the worker ask?
He asked, for here or to go.
Oh, wow.
She knew all the words individually.
But in fast speech, it probably sounded more like, for here or to go.
Exactly.
That is such a perfect example of why real English feels so difficult.
Because the problem isn't always vocabulary.
Sometimes it's speed, pronunciation, and connected speech.
Exactly. And once you realize that, you stop blaming yourself.
That is such an important message.
Because if you think you are bad at English, you lose confidence.
But if you realize your brain is simply learning a new sound system, you become more patient.
Exactly.
And in the next part, we are going to talk about something that confuses learners even more.
Slang?
Slang, hidden meanings, and expressions that make no sense if you translate them literally.
Because when a native speaker says, I'm broke, they are not talking about something being damaged.
And when they say, I'm beat, they are not talking about winning or losing.
Exactly.
One of the biggest reasons real English conversations confuse people is because native speakers often say one thing but mean something completely different.
That is one of the most frustrating parts of English.
Because if you translate everything word for word, you can completely misunderstand the conversation.
Like when someone says, I'm broke.
Exactly. I'm broke does not mean something is physically broken.
It means I have no money.
Right. And if someone says, I'm beat, they usually mean, I'm very tired.
Not that someone defeated them in a game.
Exactly. Native English is full of these hidden meanings.
Which is why translating every word in your head can make listening even harder.
That is such an important point.
Because conversations move too fast for word-by-word translation.
Exactly. You hear the sentence, you stop to translate it, and while you are thinking, the speaker is already on the next idea.
Then you get lost.
Right. So instead of translating everything, you want to start connecting phrases directly to meaning.
So when I hear I'm broke, my brain immediately thinks no money.
Exactly. No translation step.
That probably takes time though.
It does, but the more often you hear these expressions, the faster your brain responds.
Kind of like muscle memory.
Exactly. Let's look at a few more examples.
This is where a lot of viewers suddenly realize why real English feels so confusing.
If someone says, hang on, they usually mean, wait a moment.
They do not mean physically hold on to something.
Right. If someone says, I'll pass, they usually mean, no thank you.
And if someone says no worries, they mean it's okay.
Exactly.
English really is full of little traps.
It can feel that way sometimes. And then there are expressions that make absolutely no logical sense.
Like, it cost me an arm and a leg.
Exactly. That does not mean someone lost body parts.
It means something was very expensive.
Right. Or I'm under the weather.
Which means I feel sick.
Exactly. Or it slipped my mind.
Which means I forgot.
Right. Native speakers use these phrases constantly because they sound more natural and emotional.
But for learners, they can sound completely insane.
Especially the first time you hear them.
I remember hearing someone say, I'm starving.
That is a great example.
And I thought, this person is in serious danger.
But really, they were just very hungry.
Exactly. Native speakers exaggerate a lot.
They really do. Someone says, I've told you 1,000,000 times.
Even though they definitely did not say it 1,000,000 times.
Right. Or this bag weighs a ton.
Even though the bag does not weigh a ton.
Exactly. Exaggeration is everywhere in spoken English.
And I think that makes real English sound more emotional.
It does. Native speakers use exaggeration to make stories more interesting and feelings more dramatic.
Which means if you take everything literally, conversations become very confusing.
Exactly. Imagine someone says, that exam killed me.
They are not actually dead.
Right. They're saying the exam was very difficult.
Or if someone says, I nearly died laughing.
They're saying something was very funny.
English speakers are very dramatic people.
They really are.
And then there is slang.
Ah, yes. Slang is another reason real conversations feel difficult.
Because slang changes all the time.
Exactly. A phrase that was popular 5 years ago may sound old now.
And young people often use slang that older people do not use.
Right. Imagine someone says, that party was lit.
That means the party was exciting or fun.
Exactly. Or someone says, I'm down.
That means I agree or I want to do it.
Right. Or no cap.
Which means I'm serious.
Exactly.
If you do not know those expressions, you can feel completely lost.
Definitely. But here's the good news.
What?
You do not need to know every slang word.
Really?
No, because slang changes so quickly.
So what should people focus on?
Focus on the most common expressions first.
The ones you hear again and again.
Exactly. Things like, I'm good, I'm broke, no worries, hang on, I'm down, and that's crazy.
Because those appear in real conversations all the time.
Right. And once those become familiar, your listening becomes much easier.
I think tone is another thing people forget about.
That is a huge one.
Because sometimes the words are simple, but the tone changes everything.
Exactly. Think about the phrase, that's fine.
In a calm voice, it sounds normal.
But if someone says, that's fine, in an angry voice,
Then everything is definitely not fine.
exactly.
Or the word sure.
Great example.
Sure can mean absolutely.
But, sure, can mean, I don't really want to, but okay.
Same word, completely different feeling.
Exactly. Tone gives you emotional information.
Which is why listening is about more than just words.
Right. You also need to pay attention to the speaker's voice, emotion, speed, and reaction.
Because all of that helps you understand what they really mean.
Exactly. And here's a quick challenge for everyone watching.
I love these little challenges.
If someone says, not bad, what do they usually mean?
Usually something is actually pretty good.
Right. Even though the words sound negative.
English is so strange.
It really is. Or if someone says, I can't complain.
That usually means life is okay.
Exactly. Not perfect, not terrible, just okay.
Native speakers often use soft, indirect expressions like that.
Right. Which means understanding real English is not just about vocabulary.
It is about understanding culture too.
Great point.
Because native speakers often speak in indirect ways.
They do. And that is why watching real conversations is so helpful.
Because you can hear the words, the tone, the emotion, and the hidden meaning all at once.
Exactly. And in the next part, we are going to talk about something else that can make your brain freeze during real English conversations.
Accents?
Accents, fast speech, interruptions, and why some native speakers sound easy while others sound impossible.
Accents can completely change the way English sounds.
And that can be really frustrating because you finally get used to one accent.
Then suddenly you hear another accent and feel completely lost again.
I remember the first time I heard a strong British accent in a TV show.
What happened?
I thought, wait, is this still English?
That is very common.
Because I was used to American English from movies and YouTube videos.
Right. Then suddenly you hear someone from London, Manchester, or Scotland, and everything sounds different.
Different pronunciation, different rhythm, sometimes even different vocabulary.
Exactly. For example, Americans say apartment.
British people often say flat.
Americans say elevator.
British people say lift.
Americans say vacation.
British people say holiday,
So even if you understand the grammar, the words themselves can change.
which makes real conversations even more confusing.
Exactly. And then there is pronunciation.
That is where things get really difficult.
In American English, the word water often sounds like water.
But in British English, it may sound more like wata,
Exactly. And for learners, that can feel like two completely different words.
which is why people sometimes panic when they hear a new accent.
Right. They think, I understood English yesterday. Why do I understand nothing today?
But it does not mean your English disappeared.
Exactly. It just means your brain is hearing a new sound pattern.
That is such an important difference.
It really is. Difficulty does not mean failure.
Sometimes it just means unfamiliarity.
Perfectly said.
And honestly, even native speakers struggle with different accents.
Absolutely. Someone from America may struggle with a very strong Scottish accent.
And someone from England may struggle with a fast Australian speaker.
Exactly. Accents are difficult for everyone sometimes.
That actually makes me feel better.
Good. Because you don't need to understand every accent perfectly.
That sounds much less stressful.
Instead, focus on one accent first.
Like American English if you watch a lot of American content.
Or British English if you work with British clients.
Or Australian English if you plan to travel there.
Exactly. Build confidence with one accent first, then slowly expose yourself to others.
That sounds much smarter than trying to understand every accent at once.
Definitely. Because if you try to learn every accent at the same time, you can overwhelm yourself.
And then you feel like you're making no progress.
Exactly.
I think speed is another huge problem.
It is. Because even if you understand the accent, some native speakers talk incredibly fast.
Especially when they are excited.
Or nervous.
Or telling a funny story.
Exactly. People often speak faster when they are emotional.
Which means conversations become even harder to follow.
Imagine someone says slowly, I was going to call you, but then I got busy.
That sounds manageable.
Now imagine they say it quickly.
I was going to call you, but then I got busy.
Exactly.
That feels completely different.
It does. Because when people speak quickly, words connect together.
Sounds disappear.
And the rhythm changes.
Which is why fast English can sound like one long sound instead of separate words.
Exactly.
I think many learners avoid fast English because it feels scary.
They do. And that is understandable.
Because when you hear something difficult, you immediately feel discouraged.
Right. But here is the secret.
What is it?
You do not need to understand everything the first time.
That is such an important reminder.
Because many learners think, if I don't understand this immediately, I am bad at English.
But that is not true.
Not at all. Listening improves through repetition.
So if something is difficult, listen to it again.
Exactly. The first time, focus on the general meaning.
The second time, notice important words.
The third time, focus on pronunciation and connected speech.
That actually sounds much less stressful than expecting instant understanding.
It is. And it works much better.
I think another thing that makes conversations difficult is interruptions.
Oh yes. Real conversations are messy. People interrupt each other all the time, especially friends and family.
One person starts talking.
Another person jumps in.
Someone laughs.
Then someone changes the topic completely.
That is very different from textbook English.
Exactly. In textbooks, people wait politely for each other to finish speaking.
But in real life, people talk over each other constantly.
Especially in group conversations.
Which can make your brain feel overwhelmed.
Definitely. Imagine 4 people speaking quickly, interrupting each other and laughing.
That sounds terrifying for an English learner.
It can feel terrifying at first.
Especially because people often don't finish their sentences.
Right. Someone might say, I was gonna... Actually, never mind.
Or when you just... Well, anyway.
Exactly. Real English is full of unfinished thoughts.
Which is why listening to real conversations is so important. Because your brain needs practice with messy English, not just perfect classroom English.
Exactly.
I think many learners only practice with slow, clear English.
And then they feel shocked when they hear real people talking naturally.
Because real people aren't careful all the time.
Right. They mumble, interrupt, change topics, and speak emotionally.
But the more you hear those patterns, the more normal they become.
Exactly. Your brain slowly learns how real English works.
And eventually, conversations that once felt impossible start feeling easier.
That is one of the best feelings in the world.
Because suddenly you realize, wait, I understood that.
Exactly.
Maybe it's a joke in a movie.
Maybe it's part of a podcast.
Maybe it's a conversation between coworkers.
And suddenly you realize your brain is improving.
Even if you didn't notice it before.
Right. Listening progress can feel invisible sometimes.
But it's happening.
Definitely.
And in the next part, we're going to talk about how to train your brain more effectively.
Because some listening habits help a lot.
And some habits secretly make your listening worse.
So if you want to understand real English conversations faster, the next section might be the most important one yet.
If you want to understand real English conversations faster, you need to train your brain in the right way.
Because not all listening practice is equally useful.
Exactly. Some habits help you improve quickly.
And some habits make you feel busy without actually making you better.
Right. One of the biggest mistakes learners make is passive listening.
That means listening without really paying attention?
Exactly. For example, putting on an English podcast while scrolling on your phone, cooking, checking messages, and thinking about 10 other things.
That sounds very familiar.
Passive listening is not completely useless.
But it is not enough by itself.
Exactly. If you want faster improvement, you also need active listening.
What does active listening look like?
It means you are fully focused on the English.
So instead of just hearing sounds, you are paying attention to the meaning.
Exactly. Let's say you watch a short video in English.
Okay.
First, listen without subtitles.
Even if I understand very little?
Yes, focus on the general meaning.
Then what?
Listen again with subtitles.
So I can compare what I heard with the real words.
Exactly. Then listen one more time without subtitles.
That sounds much more effective than just watching once and hoping for the best.
It is, because now your brain is connecting sound, meaning, and pronunciation.
Instead of just feeling confused.
Exactly. I think another mistake people make is choosing listening material that is too difficult.
That is a huge problem.
Because many learners jump straight into fast movies, complicated interviews, or advanced podcasts.
And then they understand almost nothing.
Which makes them feel terrible.
Very frustrating.
Then he changed his strategy.
What did he do?
He started listening to simple YouTube interviews and podcasts with clear speech.
Probably not as exciting at first.
Maybe not, but after a few months, his listening improved so much that he could go back to the crime dramas and understand far more.
So sometimes the fastest way to improve is actually to slow down first.
Exactly.
I think repetition is another powerful habit.
Absolutely. Repetition is one of the best listening tools.
But many learners get bored quickly.
They do. They always want new content.
But if you listen to the same podcast episode 3 or 4 times, you notice new things every time.
Exactly. The first time, maybe you understand the main idea.
The second time, you notice new vocabulary.
The third time, you notice pronunciation patterns.
And by the fourth time, you start predicting what people will say.
Which is amazing for building confidence.
Because suddenly, English feels familiar instead of scary.
Exactly. Familiarity is powerful.
I think this is one reason children learn language so well.
Definitely. Children repeat the same songs, stories, and phrases again and again.
They're not embarrassed by repetition.
Exactly. Adults often want instant results.
But language does not work that way.
Right. Repetition creates fluency.
Another great technique is shadowing.
Yes, shadowing is one of the best ways to train your listening and speaking at the same time.
That means listening to a native speaker and repeating what they say immediately after them?
Exactly. You copy the rhythm, pronunciation, emotion, and speed.
That sounds difficult.
It is difficult at first, but it becomes easier with practice.
And it probably helps you notice how native speakers really sound.
Exactly, because you stop seeing English as separate words.
And you start hearing it as connected phrases.
Right. Imagine someone says, "I'm gonna head out."
Then I repeat, "I'm gonna head out."
Exactly. And over time, your brain becomes more comfortable with natural English rhythm.
Which probably helps with speaking too.
Definitely. Listening and speaking are deeply connected.
So if you want to speak more naturally, you should listen more naturally too.
Exactly.
I think another mistake learners make is comparing themselves too much.
Absolutely.
They see someone online speaking fluent English and think, why am I not there yet?
But they don't see the years of practice behind that fluency.
Right, they only see the final result.
Exactly. Listening takes time,
But every day of practice adds something.
even when it feels invisible,
That's important because progress can feel very slow.
especially with listening.
One day you feel like nothing is improving.
Then suddenly you understand a conversation that used to feel impossible.
That feeling is incredible.
It really is.
And honestly, I think people should choose listening content they actually enjoy.
That's one of the biggest secrets.
Because if you hate the content, you'll never stay consistent.
Exactly. If you love cooking, watch cooking videos in English.
If you love football, watch football interviews.
If you love travel, watch travel vlogs.
If you love business, listen to business podcasts.
Exactly. The more interested you are, the more focused your brain becomes.
And the more likely you are to keep practicing.
Right, motivation matters.
That's why Talk Easy Daily is so useful.
Because we want English to feel interesting, natural, and enjoyable.
Not boring and stressful.
Exactly. Because when English feels enjoyable, you improve faster.
And if you're enjoying this episode so far, make sure you subscribe to Talk Easy Daily because we create these kinds of conversations to help you understand real English more naturally.
And if you ever had a funny or embarrassing misunderstanding in English, leave it in the comments.
We would love to read it.
Because honestly, everyone has those moments.
Everyone.
And sometimes the most embarrassing moments become the best learning experiences.
Definitely.
In the next part, we're going to share some funny real-life misunderstandings that happen during English conversations.
Some of them are painful.
Some are hilarious.
And some will probably remind you of your own experiences.
One of the funniest parts of learning English is that sometimes you misunderstand something completely, and you only realize it later.
Usually much later.
Sometimes hours later.
Sometimes while you are lying in bed and suddenly your brain says, "Wait, that is what they meant?"
Exactly.
I think every English learner has at least one embarrassing misunderstanding story.
Definitely. And honestly, those moments feel terrible at first.
But later they become funny memories.
Let me tell you about a learner named Sophia.
Okay.
Sophia was working in an office in Canada. One day, her coworker walked by and said, "Hey, what's up?"
One of the most common English greetings.
Right. But Sophia thought her coworker wanted her to look upward.
No way!
Yes, so she looked at the ceiling.
That is amazing!
Her coworker looked confused and said, nothing.
That is both painful and hilarious.
But it makes sense. Sophia understood the word up, so she interpreted the sentence literally.
Instead of understanding that what's up usually means how are you or what's happening.
Exactly. And after that moment, she never forgot the phrase.
Honestly, embarrassing moments are sometimes the fastest way to learn.
Very true.
I had a similar moment with the phrase, "take a seat."
What happened?
Someone invited me into a room and said, "take a seat."
And for 1 second,
I thought they wanted me to pick up the chair.
that is incredible.
Thankfully, I realized what they meant before I embarrassed myself.
Imagine carrying the chair across the room.
I would never recover from that.
But that's another great example of how literal translation can create confusion.
Right, because take a seat really means sit down.
Exactly. And there are so many phrases like that.
Like, take your time.
Which means do not hurry.
Or give me a hand.
Which means help me.
Not give me your actual hand.
Exactly.
English can be very strange sometimes.
It really can.
What is another misunderstanding story?
One learner was eating in an American restaurant. The waiter came over and asked, "You guys ready to order?"
That sounds simple enough.
It does, but the learner only understood the word ready.
Oh no.
So he smiled and said, "Yes, I'm ready."
And then the waiter just stood there.
Exactly, because the waiter was waiting for the food order.
That is such a realistic situation.
It is, and it shows how important context is.
Because the same word can mean different things in different situations.
Exactly. Ready in a restaurant means ready to choose food.
But ready before an exam means ready to begin.
Right. Context changes everything.
Phone calls are another scary situation.
Oh yes, phone calls are difficult for many English learners.
Because you cannot see the other person's face or body language.
Exactly. You lose all the visual clues.
And if the connection is bad, it becomes even harder.
One learner told me she answered a work call from a customer.
Okay.
The customer asked, "Can I speak to Mike?"
Sounds simple enough.
But because the phone connection was bad, she thought he said, "Can I speak to my cat?"
That is incredible.
She paused and said, "Your cat?"
I would love to hear the customer's reaction.
He was very confused.
Of course.
Eventually, they both laughed about it.
And honestly, laughter is important.
Definitely, because if you're too afraid of making mistakes, you stop trying.
That's true. Fear can freeze you.
But mistakes are part of learning,
Even embarrassing mistakes.
especially embarrassing mistakes.
Because those are the moments you never forget.
Exactly.
And I remember another confusing phrase. Would you like seconds?
That's a good one.
The first time I heard it, I thought someone was asking me about time.
But in reality, they were asking you if you wanted more food.
Exactly.
That is such a perfect example of why real English feels difficult.
Because words can completely change meaning depending on the situation.
Right, and native speakers often assume everyone understands those meanings.
They don't stop and explain.
Exactly, which means English learners slowly build that knowledge through experience.
That's why exposure matters so much.
The more situations you experience, the more familiar English becomes.
Let's do a quick game.
I'm ready.
If someone says, "I'm just looking," what do they mean?
Usually they mean they are not ready to buy anything yet.
Exactly. What about, "I'm good"?
That can mean I'm fine.
Or, "No thank you."
Right. If someone offers you coffee and you say, I'm good, it usually means you don't want any.
What about, "I'll let you go"?
That usually means the conversation is ending.
Not that someone was physically holding you prisoner.
Exactly.
Native English really is full of hidden meanings.
It is, and that's why you shouldn't panic when you misunderstand something.
Because misunderstandings are part of learning.
Exactly. Every misunderstanding teaches you something useful.
Usually something you never forget.
Right. And here's something important for everyone watching.
What is it?
Stop seeing misunderstandings as proof that you're bad at English.
That's such an important message.
Because if you think every mistake means failure, you lose confidence.
But if you see mistakes as part of the process, you stay motivated.
Exactly.
And honestly, some people are just difficult to understand.
That's true. Some people mumble.
Some people speak too fast.
Some use too much slang.
And some people are difficult to understand even in their own language.
That is so true.
So if you struggle to understand someone, it doesn't always mean your English is weak.
Sometimes it just means that person is not speaking clearly.
Exactly. I think confidence matters a lot too.
Definitely, because when you panic, your listening gets worse.
That creates a terrible cycle.
Right, you don't understand something, so you get nervous.
Then, because you're nervous, you understand even less.
Exactly. So one of the most important listening skills is staying calm.
That sounds simple, but it's difficult.
It is, but it gets easier with practice.
And the more conversations you survive, the more confident you become.
Exactly.
You start realizing, maybe I don't understand everything, but I can still communicate.
And that realization changes everything.
Because you stop chasing perfection.
And you start focusing on connection.
I love that.
Connection is more important than perfect grammar or perfect listening.
Definitely.
And in the next part, we're going to talk about the habits advanced learners use to become great listeners.
Because some people improve much faster than others.
And usually, it's not because they're smarter.
It's because they train differently.
One of the biggest differences between advanced English learners and struggling English learners is not intelligence.
That is such good news.
It really is, because so many people think, maybe I am just bad at languages.
Or maybe my brain is not good enough.
But usually that is not the real problem.
Then what is the real difference?
Habits.
Really?
Yes, advanced learners build small habits that make listening easier over time.
That sounds much more manageable than trying to become fluent overnight.
Exactly. Fluency is built in small steps.
So what is one habit strong listeners have?
They focus on phrases instead of individual words.
That is interesting.
Think about it. If you hear the phrase, "at the end of the day," again and again, you stop hearing it as 6 separate words.
You hear it as one complete idea.
Exactly. You instantly understand that it means something like "when everything is considered."
So advanced learners build a mental library of common phrases.
Perfectly said.
That probably makes listening much faster.
It does, because instead of processing one word at a time, you process whole chunks of meaning.
Can you give some examples?
Sure. Phrases like, "to be honest," "I have no idea," "by the way," "it depends," "as far as I know," and "you know what I mean."
Those are phrases native speakers use all the time.
Exactly. And when you hear them again and again, they become automatic.
So maybe instead of memorizing random vocabulary lists, people should memorize useful phrases.
Absolutely. A single phrase is often more useful than 10 random words.
Because real conversations are built with patterns.
Exactly. Native speakers repeat the same kinds of phrases in different situations.
Which means the more phrases you know, the easier listening becomes.
Right. Another important habit is curiosity.
What do you mean?
Advanced learners are curious when they don't understand something.
Instead of getting frustrated?
Exactly. They hear a strange phrase and think, interesting, what does that mean?
Instead of saying, I am terrible at English.
Right, that mindset is powerful.
Because frustration makes you want to quit.
But curiosity keeps you learning.
I love that.
Let me give you an example.
Go ahead.
Imagine you hear someone say, I'm not really feeling it today.
That could be confusing.
Yes, but an advanced learner will stop and think, what does not feeling it mean?
And then they learn that it means someone is not interested, motivated, or excited.
Exactly. One confusing moment becomes one new lesson.
That is such a healthier way to think.
It is, because language learning is full of confusing moments.
So if you hate confusion, you will hate learning English.
Exactly.
But if you learn to enjoy those little discoveries, the process becomes much more fun.
Right. Another powerful habit is keeping a listening notebook.
That sounds really useful.
Every time you hear a phrase that confuses you, write it down.
Along with the meaning?
Yes, write the phrase, the meaning, and maybe even an example sentence.
That sounds much more useful than writing down random grammar rules you never use.
Exactly. Imagine you hear the phrase, I'll catch up with you later.
You write it down and learn that it means I'll talk to you later or I'll see you later.
Right. Then the next time you hear it, it feels familiar.
And when something feels familiar, it feels less scary.
Exactly.
I think another thing advanced learners do is stop expecting themselves to understand every single word.
That's huge.
Because beginners often think listening is like an exam.
Right. They think, I must understand every word perfectly or I failed.
But advanced learners focus on the main message.
Exactly. They understand that missing a few words is completely normal.
Even native speakers miss words sometimes.
Definitely, especially in noisy places or fast conversations.
So maybe one sign that someone is becoming more advanced is that they stop panicking when they miss something.
That's absolutely true.
Because they trust themselves to understand enough.
Exactly. Trust is important.
And confidence changes everything.
It really does. Imagine two people hear the same difficult sentence.
Okay.
One person thinks, I missed one word, everything is ruined.
That person will probably panic.
Right, but the other person thinks, I missed one word, but I still understand the general idea.
That person stays calm.
Exactly, and because they stay calm, they usually understand more.
That is such a powerful difference.
It really is.
I think another habit strong learners have is making English part of their daily life.
Yes, that's one of the biggest secrets.
They don't treat English like homework.
Exactly. They listen to English while driving,
While cooking.
while cleaning.
While exercising.
Right. English becomes part of normal life.
Instead of something stressful.
Exactly. And that daily exposure slowly trains your brain.
I think consistency matters more than intensity.
Absolutely.
Listening for 15 minutes every day is probably better than listening for 5 hours once a month.
Much better.
Because your brain needs regular contact with the language.
Exactly. Language is like exercise.
If you stop completely, you lose momentum.
But if you do a little every day, you slowly get stronger.
That's encouraging because it means people don't need perfect study plans.
No, they just need regular habits.
And honestly, even 10 minutes a day can make a difference.
Definitely. Another thing advanced learners do is choose content they actually enjoy.
That's one of the biggest secrets.
Because if you hate the content, you won't stay consistent.
Exactly. If you love cooking, watch cooking videos.
If you love football, watch football interviews.
If you love travel, watch travel vlogs.
If you love business, listen to business podcasts.
Exactly. The more interested you are, the more focused your brain becomes.
And the more likely you are to keep going.
Right. Motivation matters.
That's why Talk Easy Daily is so useful.
Because we want English to feel interesting, natural, and enjoyable.
Not boring and stressful.
Exactly. Because when English feels enjoyable, you improve faster.
And if you're enjoying this episode so far, make sure you subscribe to Talk Easy Daily because we create these kinds of conversations to help you understand real English more naturally. And if you've ever had a funny misunderstanding in English, leave it in the comments.
We would love to hear your story.
Because honestly, everyone has those moments.
Everyone.
And sometimes the most embarrassing moments become the best lessons.
Definitely.
In the next part, we're going to recap everything we talked about today and leave you with one final message that could completely change the way you think about listening.